Hey everyone. So I know we're looking at my face right now, and I promised that we're going to do more exercises and drawings for this video, but I wanted to just kind of get you started here quick. We're going to be showing innate practice, and specifically when it comes to drawing. So recapping, the innate practice is what you're good at naturally and what you naturally enjoy doing. Now I'm going to extend that a little bit further to say an innate practice is basically what gives you some sense of satisfaction. Now, that does not have to look like a finished drawing. It doesn't even have to look like anything that you're necessarily proud of or want to display anywhere. It's just, here's what you're drawing, you enjoy doing it, and it's what you do inherently. You're inherently good at it, or you naturally just enjoy doing it. It can look like a whole bunch of different things. It can look like doodles. It can look like drawing faces. You can do cars. You can draw trees. You can scribble. Scribbling, I would argue that qualifies as innate practice because you're just doing a whole bunch of lines and whatnot, and I think that has value. But it's a ton of different things, and I would recommend that if you enjoy doing scribbles, if you do enjoy doodles, do those things. You know, you're not trying to necessarily improve on anything. You're just drawing because you enjoy doing it. So the most important thing that I'll say about this is when you're doing an innate practice, when it comes to drawing, you're not necessarily doing this passively. You are paying attention to how you draw, just how you draw naturally. You want to always make sure that anything that you're drawing, when you just want to draw for the sake of drawing and enjoying it, you do want to pay attention to how you're doing things, like how you draw lines, how you shade, how you do a whole bunch of different things. That's always the most important thing, because when you do that, when you're actually paying attention to how you do it, that will help you to progress over time. So what I'm going to do now is show you 3 different exercises that you can do for innate practice. So I'm going to go move over to my tablet so you can actually see what I'm doing, and I'll be describing a whole bunch of different things as I'm drawing. So go ahead and sit back, draw along with me if you want to, and pay attention and enjoy the fun little things that you can do that don't take a whole lot of brain power, but still help you in the long run. So the first type of exercise is circles. When I was younger, I drew circles all the time. I would fill my sketchbook up with circle after circle after circle. I would go to public places with my family, like a restaurant, sometimes a movie theater, and a plethora of other places, and I would fill my sketchbook up with circles. I drew circles at school while the teacher was teaching, with his or her permission, obviously. And I even do that as an adult. If I'm in a meeting at work, I will sometimes have a piece of paper or even my sketchbook with me, and I will draw circles all the time. It's a form of practice that I like because it helps me to understand how my hand draws shapes naturally. And I use this as a way of understanding how to move forward into more complicated areas of drawing. I can do different shapes like this. I can draw triangles. I can draw circles around those triangles. I can draw squares around those. And I'm basically trying to make these shapes decent enough where if someone were to look at it, they would say, ooh, that looks kind of perfect. So I did this for so long, and I got really good at drawing free-handed circles. So as you can see on the screen, I'm not using a stencil, I'm freehanding this. And I'm basically just going over and over and over and over again until a circle appears as good as I think it's going to get, or to the point of where I'm pretty happy with the way it looks like. Now this goes back to what I was talking about before, how you get a certain sense of satisfaction out of doing it when it comes to innate practice. You can draw circle after circle after circle, and this isn't necessarily something I want to display for people. It's mostly just me doing something, and if I can get it to a point where I'm pretty happy with it, that gives me a sense of satisfaction. This type of exercise doesn't take very long. or it shouldn't take very long, but you do want to fill your pages up with tons of shapes. And you can, like I said before, it doesn't have to be circles. It can be other shapes. It can be triangles. It can be squares. But it teaches you, like I said, how your hand draws naturally, but it also helps you with geometric shapes and just learning how those work and how you should go about doing that when you get into more complicated areas of drawing. The next kind of drawing is life drawing, or drawing what you see. Now, as you see on the screen, I'm drawing my couch that's in my studio with me, and I'm just kind of going with the flow. I'm not really giving it a whole lot of thought. I'm just looking up at the couch and then going back to the, well, in my case, a tablet, but in your case, it'd be a piece of paper, and you're just looking and then drawing, looking and then drawing. You don't have to give it too much thought. This type of exercise doesn't have to be complicated. You don't want to put a whole lot of time into it, in fact. But what you are trying to do is paying attention to how you draw naturally, just like I said for the other type of exercise, almost without thinking. So you're paying attention to how you draw naturally as you move forward into other more detailed aspects of drawing. So as you can see, I'm starting to finish up the couch, and I'm darkening up the lines a little bit. I'm going to add some really quick shading aspects to the drawing. Nothing super complicated, just to give it a little bit more depth. But you don't even have to go that far if you don't want to. Here in a minute, I'm going to be drawing the wall and how the wall interacts with the floor, and I think there's going to be a window in there. And again, these are just really quick drawings, and you're looking at just how you can do things real quick, and teaching yourself just how to do things naturally, and then using that going forward into more complicated drawings. And the third exercise that I want to demonstrate for you guys is drawing stick figures. Now, this might seem a little silly, and this actually teeters on innate and inspired practice, but I think it works for innate practice quite well, because you're just drawing circles and lines which bend or curve to give the illusion of sitting, standing, walking, tripping, and a whole bunch of other different poses. As you can see on the screen, I did sitting poses from a profile view, and I did did two different types where you got more of an arched back and a straight back. You can do things like an upward angle, from a downward angle. You can try different curves with these type of figures. I've got running stick figures. I've got a jumping stick figure, one that's kind of sitting cross-legged and leaning over a little bit. Got a little bit of a cowboy kind of look coming up, and a whole bunch of other different things. And these are super quick drawings that don't have to take a whole lot of time, but you are trying to experiment with different types of drawing when it comes to stick figures, and it helps with poses as well. So those are three exercises to use as examples. You don't necessarily have to do those things. It's just if you're in that block, got that creative block, and you just don't know how to practice certain things, those are ways you can do it where you're just drawing something every day. But I do want to stress that it doesn't have to be those things that I showed you. They're just examples. You can do basically whatever you want. If you enjoy drawing anime characters, draw anime characters. If you enjoy drawing trees that are outside or things that are around you, whatever it is. If you enjoy drawing geometrically, like geometric shapes, do that kind of stuff. Scribbling around the page, that's another form of that. If you enjoy drawing shapes, that's always a great thing, as I showed you in the video. And basically whatever you want. You can draw whatever you want, and it qualifies as an innate practice. I think the most important thing is that you're drawing every day, and for this type of practice, it's basically whatever you get the most enjoyment out of, and what gives you a sense of satisfaction. The most important thing is paying attention to what you're doing. So if you draw something on a page or a couple of pages of your sketchbook, when you get done, go back and look at it and look at what your natural abilities are and use that when you get into more complicated areas of drawing. You can use the information you get from just practicing this innate kind of drawing practice, and then use that to see where you need to improve when you go into some more complicated things about drawing. So for the next video, I'm going to show you some exercises for inspired practice, and those are going to be much more goal-oriented, but not to a really intense level. It's just there's more focus with it, and a whole bunch of other things that I'll be showing you. So anyways, that's all I got. Thanks a lot, guys.